For every life, my life, your life, before every human being, there was a childbirth, a delivery. Some were smooth, some were difficult, challenging, came along with many problems. Within those systems, some found themselves supported. They had a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of policy to ensure that they are taken care of. While other people, on the other hand, had very difficult to navigate through the system. They had to fight themselves for the survival. And some, in the process of all those challenges, bound directly with the children or the child. But some had very, very hard time to do so. And it took weeks, months, some even years. Today we are talking about postpartum trauma. A trauma which is often silent because hidden, out of shame, out of fear of judgment, but yet remains with many, many mothers, and which can slowly erode and change the whole sense of self, person, of society, of even the conception of life itself. I am Irene Douglas, storyteller, social work scholar, your host on the Zray podcast. And before we begin, please note, this show is made just for educational and informational purpose. It is not substitute to your professional medical care, mental health, or even legal advice. So here we mostly explore stories, real stories about mental health, about relationship trauma, and the human experiences. So the views shared here are personal and they are drawn from educational sources, researches, statistics, and our own intention in doing that is to encourage your reflection and to encourage you to get into dialogues. Thank you for being here with us. Before everything, we really like to understand what is postpartum. We need to understand what comes along with postpartum. Many people are kind of confused, thinking that it is just a weakness, a moment of trouble that a person wants to feel love. It's more than that. It is the whole nervous system's responding to one emotional, biological transition shift of human life. It is the hormones imbalance, back and forth. It is a flight and fight mode a woman is going through. Postpartum depression now is just serious mood disorder as well. It occurs after a childbirth within weeks. Some goes to months. Sometimes it even goes to years after the delivery. So it goes beyond those small baby blues we commonly have after a birth of a child. And the problem with that is that it's really interfere with a mother ability to function properly, to bond, to care, even to care for herself. Emotional symptoms are multiple, and they may include, but not limited to, persistent sadness, hopelessness, guilt, anxiety, irritability, loss of interest, and some other people have even difficulties concentrating. It gives also sometimes intrusive thought, and the person might feel disconnected. During that period of time, people who have mental illness go through accentuate trouble because of the imbalance of the hormones. And some of them are even institutionalized. If I can say, they get admitted into hospitals just for better care so that they are watched closely. Some people get also fatigue, extreme fatigue, sleep problem like sleep apnea, insomnia, the appetite change. Some put on weight, some lose weight considerably, and the body aches. So when we got into these relational challenges, which might show up, difficulties also comes along. Some get bounded to people, some get withdrawn, and you don't really know what really will happen when somebody is facing the trauma that period. So the key statistics now is what really have drawn my attention, because when we look at the postpartum mental health, for example, in the US here, we find that 1 in 5 women, let's say 20%, are experiencing mental health conditions during the pregnancy or the postpartum time, which is from weeks to a year after the childbirth. And within that range, we have also that 1 out of 8 women out of the range of the people having the postpartum which are experiencing mental health condition, you have 12 or 13% has increased the postpartum symptoms. The case is very high, which has led to 19% approximately in 2021. And then we have the anxiety mood, the depression, perinatal mood, which comes along also, which nearly approach 50%. And most of them, unfortunately, are untreated and undiagnosed. This is why screening is very important after childbirth. Um, we really want to tell families, friends, it's very important to take care of a woman who gave birth, especially after a wellness check. Not only the baby needs a wellness check, but the mother as well needs a wellness check. It's very important so that we can assess properly what is her mental status at that time. And if she needs help, she needs support and care. And many people would say maybe it's just because people abroad, they don't have a lot of help that we have back here. But it is even strong also talking about Africa and third countries. One out of three women in Africa and in third countries experiencing mental breakdown and mental health condition. We can see that it's even worse. We have that one out of seven, which goes approximately to 20% prevalence has postpartum depression. So even in a community where we have the system, it's still ongoing. It's an ongoing situation. And when we have now to talk also to talk about perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, in this category, we find that it's 75% who are experiencing this mode, and it's very huge. The numbers are high. When people will say, but why, how come? It's due to screening. First of all, limited healthcare access, and then we have scarce mental health resources, many barriers to care. So many African countries and third countries have reported low maternal mental health service. Most of the time, it's just that the woman give birth and then she's gone home. They don't really ask us that. I have seen so many women battling just to survive while they even have people. I believe that even our ancestors knew this before. That's why we even say that when the child is in the woman womb, it belongs to the woman. And by when the child comes out in the world, the child belongs to everybody because the community comes along together to help that woman to remain strong, like take care of the baby so that she doesn't have to wake up every 2 hours to feed the baby and allowing her to raise while all the hormones are shifting back, are getting back into normal. Because when you are pregnant, the hormones are in flight and fight mode, they all over the places. And depending on the person you marry, depending on the person genetic, depending on everything which is going around the person, we do not react the same way. We do not heal the same way. We do not come back to normal the same way. Certain people, even at the last time, the last moment of the pregnancy, they can still go to work, they can still cook, they can still do everything. But certain people, just when she got pregnant, she's sick though throughout all the period. And can you imagine somebody carrying a baby for 9 months and being sick all along? You cannot ask such a person to get help just the moment she delivered the baby. This takes a long time because all those coping strategies she's been having during the pregnancy has also to accompany her even after delivering for a certain moment of time. And it takes therapy, it takes a moment of love, of care, and intense moment of support so that the person can come back to normal. Certain people also come back to normal, but certain people do not because it's a whole system which is changing. Alarm clock are kicking for the baby to be fed, to be changed, take care of other responsibility. There's a lot coming up with this tool of woman taking care of the baby around. And so many mothers do not even have time just to admit to themselves that I have to go to see a doctor because something is going wrong. And they just call it maternity. They call it motherhood. They found a good way to suppress the woman feeling for that. And they say, oh, yes, this is motherhood. This is, it's the maternity effect. So it will go through over time. No, mother screening is very, very important. And looking at those two tables, somebody out there might say, it's just okay for people abroad. And when we look at that, we can just understand that um, other women do not really experience that. Other women are okay with that. That when you have money, you have people to take care of you, you will just do okay. I don't believe so. Here is one special case. We have Serena Williams here. You might know her. She's a great personality when we talk about tennis sport. She played a lot of top and powerful, well known on in the world. So after giving birth to her daughter, Olympia, in 2017, she had faced a life-threatening postpartum medical emergency. That's how it started. Vacation. She had, first of all, an emergency C-section, and then she had a blood clot in her lungs, which led to pulmonary embolism, and then she had multiple surgery to come out of that. Then it took her week of recovery after complication, and it was so physical demanding for her. And because when you are an athlete, it's always in your mind that you have to take care of your body, you have to practice and stuff like that. So her story is very deep because she experienced blood clot early, and she was able to detect the symptom as it was happening again after childbirth. So she advocates strongly for her own medical care when she felt that something was wrong. Her story here is exposing serious issue in maternal health care, especially for Black women here, which are more likely to die during childbirth and during all those complications coming after delivery. The emotional toll here is there. She really feared about her health, and she described the postpartum period as one of the hardest of her life. Sometimes medical providers dismiss the Black woman pain. Advocacy can be really life-saving. That's why you have to stand up. You have to learn to advocate for yourself, because mental health is connected also to our physical trauma. So, for many African and African American women, speaking up in medical settings can feel intimidating, and many people decide just to keep quiet, to see things, or to let things going through. And people keep quiet because they are afraid to be judged as being crazy, being mentally deranged. And this label of strong woman, which is always sticking around with us, is accompanying expectation in the silence, but it is very damaging. It is really mentally damaging. So we have also a second story for those who always like to say, no, maybe, Serena Williams, that's just an athlete. And maybe she's stronger. But here we have Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields shared her journey through severe postpartum depression. She described numbness, fear, need for the treatment, and she had to open to break through her silence and normalize seeking help, because sometimes it becomes a little bit extra when you have to go through all of these things by yourself. It's never really easy just to take life as it comes. She relates that after giving birth to her baby, she expected joy. It's normal. My mother, oh, a child is coming. I'm expecting joy, gifts, happiness around. But instead, she experienced intense sadness, despair, and emotional detachment. So she described it as being overwhelmed, feeling, and she even had kind of suicidal thoughts later, and she was diagnosed then with postpartum depression. So she struggled with feeling of self-hatred and difficulties bonding with her baby. She had some treatment. She was given some antidepressant medication and followed by therapy. And then she let emphasize on post-traumatic disorder as being biological and medical as well, but not as a failure like other people like to say in many communities. She wrote a memoir, Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum Depression, and she shared her story so it can help anybody out there. So if you want the book is Down Came the Rain, My Journey Through Postpartum by Brooke Shield. I believe and I know that every woman with some strong, successful, and supported can experience this kind of trauma too. But recovery is only possible when you have support and the appropriate treatment and on time. Why we are doing this. We want to talk, we want to speak out for people to be very, very aware of the situation, and so that you don't feel as if you were just overdoing it. You are not overdoing it. You're really going through a situation, and thinking about that would only lead you to a way to find solution and that treatment. And we have our call for help in the same aspects. We have the story of ruthbakomba. You've been seeing that. We love to talk about that. Don't get tired of us because it's very important. After childbirth, Ruth has developed severe kidney failures as a complication of childbirth too. So now she really depend on dialysis, which was no longer sufficient. So her doctor confirmed then that she needed to have a kidney transplant urgently, and she was hospitalized before at Diama Hospital in Kinshasa. And then the First Lady of the Democratic Republic of Congo visited her and decided to evacuate her to Kenya to get appropriate care. And thank you so much, Mrs. Denise Nyakare Sekedi, for the support. This is a special case because not only that it comes with complication after, but the total of mental health is very, very, very high. So at this time, the focus for Ruth is ongoing medical treatment and definitely the kidney transplant, where she has gone to, but it also includes the urgent need of recovery for her family, for all her financial status, and mostly their mental health. And this matter because we all need at a certain times of our life a call to action. So let you and I be those miracle. This one moment is where the community comes together and becomes also a person medicine. So if 10,000 people see this, it will really help. So share, share, share. If we have 1,000 people giving a certain amount of money, it would be good. So we invite you to donate if you can, to share a story and to keep her also in prayer. Mothers should have to go through things like that when they are giving life, when they are giving life. And it is very difficult for us to say that way, but this is really what she is going through. So you may not be a surgeon, you may not be a doctor, but you can be big part of this healing. And let me tell you, we have churches, we have organizations, we have communities. Just share the message. I need you to share this to all the head of your churches, community. It will be very important. We have so many people going to churches looking for miracles. This is the time where you can do a miracle for somebody's life. This is the time where you can be very, very important for somebody's lives, for her children, for her husband, for her family, for herself, first of all. Put your hand in your pocket, in your purse, and take your credit card, your debit card, and you can easily do that. And all those numbers, which are right there on the screen. And we have here, this is the GoFundMe, but you have those numbers. And if you've been wondering how we send those numbers, you can use the app tap sign TAP space TAP sign. Now you can use also send wave to all those three numbers. And you just follow up the script, throughout the app, and you can easily send to this number. And or you can just tap the GoFundMe page, ruthbakomba, get life-saving kidney transplant. It will appear there, and all amount will make a miracle. All amount are very, very, very welcome. And thank you in advance. So many people will say, but what about some other people? Here, I just took this branch of example, but two big personalities that we came to know. One is the wife of the former president of the U.S., Barack Obama. It's Michelle Obama. And the other one was a princess in United Kingdom, and she died though. And here are two big figures. You can see that Michelle Obama has been trying to cope with depression and anxiety. And then on the other hand, it was bulimia and depression as well. So how they overcome that? For Michelle, she went through therapy, self-care, exercises, and meditation. She rely on her family and her friends. This is where I really want to put pause and really want to talk about this. In life, you need real family members, the one which are trustworthy, and friends as well, the one which are loyal, they are trustworthy. You know those friends who are just around you when they need some things, and when they turn their back, they never appreciate you. They never do anything for you. They're just there to downgrade you. Those are the kind of friends which unfortunately are not needed in such period of time. So when you choose your friend, you always have to keep in mind as well that one day you will on your lows, and you will definitely need some friends to uplift you, to encourage you, to support you, to be around you, and also to show you the way when you seems not to see it properly. So the word of wisdom should say it is okay not to be okay, where the strong one always believe that they often remain strong, but most of the times I've noticed that the strong women, the strong people are those who are going through very devastating event, and sometimes they just decide not to talk about that because they feel like I'm always a strong one. It's my job to uplift other people. I don't really need people to uplift me, but sometimes, not to say most of the time, they are the one having the biggest problem, the biggest concerns, and when they break down, they really break down good. So Prince Diana, on her side, she overcame her bulimia and depression by seeking professional help. She was followed up, she was journaling it and expressing her emotion. I remember reading some stories somewhere that her kids went through her writings, and then they discovered what their mother was going through. And she found a way, or a therapy, I might say, in helping other people and doing a lot of charity work. That's where she was finding her happiness. That's where she was finding the courage to stand up every day and to help other people until she died. So she rested in peace once more. So the word of wisdom, she said that you can find your way through the darkness. Yes. Always remember the darkness never really lasts always. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel for you to come out. So you can find your way through the darkness is something very, very deep and very important. When you decide to stand up to talk about it, is to practice self-care. It is very important to practice self-care. Women who have child there, it is okay to leave your child in the care of somebody else you trust, of course, or system. If you're able to get services, it is fine. Husband, friends, boyfriends, all the support systems around, and then to take some time for yourself and to seek for support whenever you really need that, because we all have a time, a time where we all need to seek for support. Why this really matters? This matters because postpartums can vary, and its consequences can be very dangerous. On top of the emotional burden, in a severe case, it can lead to suicidal thought or behavior, making it one of the most serious maternal mental health concerns. Suicide is among the leading cause of death in the first year of childbirth. Many mothers suffer in silence, like we say, due to stigma, fear, and at the end they isolate themselves. But what really happened when they isolate themselves is like the risk after the medical complication, after the financial straits, after the insomnia, the lack of support to remain constant, and they keep her nervous systems only awake and willing to do something which is very, very self-harming. So if you know someone who is struggling, please help is available. Here, for example, in the United States, we have suicidal prevention lifeline, which is 988, available 24/7 for people to get help. So just call. Remember, the number is 988 and 24/7 to help us, to help everybody who's really in need to talk, to be heard, or to seek even for support, help. So many people say, for example, when we seek for help, we don't really get it. They always say that my insurance is not covering that and stuff like that. Yes, of course. In some areas, unfortunately, social welfare is disproportionate. It's not given to other race equally. And this is where social justice is really fighting for. This is how you have to stand up and advocate for yourself, advocate for a loved one, advocate for somebody you know, so that the policy could be changed. The policy can be equal for everybody. And this is where also I want you to look at the news. We have to be watching news because we have to know what we are signing for, what we are electing, what we are doing. They have a direct impact on our life. They have a direct impact in your health insurance, everything we do, even to the food you put on your table. So it's very important to be aware of whatever. It's very important to be aware of whatever situation which is coming your way, so that you are not left out. So if something we discussed today stirred up an emotion in you and brought up a memory, please do not ignore it. Share this. I I really want to encourage you to seek for support if you need it. And I want you also to be able to offer your support for people who need it. So remember that small act of care really, really matters. Somebody out there might need it, might be in really in need. Until we see you next time, stay warm, stay blessed. And this is Irene Douglas and the Serena podcast from upstate New York. Have a good day and happy Valentine's Day.